You are your own healer. And when you understand that, we're giving you back your power to be a part of the healing process in terms of what you want for healing.
This is the Mind Body Detox Podcast, where we discuss all things integrative health and wellness, interviewing folks from all over the world, sharing insights and wisdom for how to live a healthier life in mind, body, and spirit. Welcome back, everyone, to the Mind Body Detox Podcast. I'm your host, Mind Body Medium Kara Lovehart, and today we're going to talk about the power of healing touch for chronic pain and pain relief, specifically with reflexology. Today's guest is Dr. Njideka Olatunde and the visionary force behind Focused on Healing Wellness Institute. So she is a true pioneer in integrative mind-body healing. Dr. Olatunde is an accomplished naturopath, a master reflexologist, a pain relief educator, podcast host, and acclaimed thought leader who has dedicated her life to bridging traditional cultural healing methods with the best of conventional medicine. So that's what we're here to bridge the gap between the two. She's the author of Reflexology Today, A Family Affair, and a leading educator in medication-free, addiction-free pain relief therapies. And her signature approach, Relieve Pain First, has supported thousands of chronic pain sufferers in reclaiming their lives without dependence on opioids. So that's pretty incredible. She brings compassionate, community-centered solutions to one of our most pressing health challenges, which is pain. Dr. Olatunde's work sits at the intersection of neuroplasticity, ancestral wisdom, nervous system regulation, and integrative health. So this makes her a perfect guide for today's conversation and deepening our conversations that we move into this integrative health model. So let's bring her on. Hello. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Kara, for having me. I'm looking forward to this conversation and sharing information with your listeners.
Well, we've been trying to get together for a while with power outages and things like that. So we finally have you on. But my first question for you is, you've been working in holistic wellness and pain relief for decades. So what drew you first as a naturopath to reflexology and touch for primary healing, especially in a world that we're dominated by pharmaceutical drugs?
Oh, I love that as an opening, and I'll do an expedited version. But what happened was, like, as a child, I grew up on home remedies, and doctors back then came to your home for home visits. And so as a child, I saw the doctor that said, oh, wow, this healing, that's what I want to do. I want to be a healer. So as we fast forward going through the whole school process, I enjoyed the sciences and all that. But by the time I got to college, I got a rude awakening that what I thought were healers in the medical arena was not what was going to happen for me. And I said, oh no, let me change this because I won't last too long with this. So I wound up changing and moving into social work. And I worked for the whole gambit of social service from infants all the way to seniors with every phase of social service that the industry covers. But what disturbed me the most was the fact that everybody was going to the emergency room as their doctors for healthcare. I said, well, something's wrong with this picture. And that kind of happened at a time when alternative and complementary approaches were coming on the scene, which led me to go back to school to become a naturopath. But before naturopath, I had already had the experience and training in reflexology. So that became an add-on. And so that really kind of laid the foundation in terms of the work that I'm doing, because my major focus was always on about relieving pain and looking at it from a therapeutic or cultural approach, connecting. And so that's how the path kind of opened up and put me to where I'm at today.
I love that you got to experience having your doctors come in your home. That's the care, the compassion. And I know with the workload, it's not even feasible now, but we still need this connection, this compassion, the relationship of the healing relationship that's built between practitioner and the I guess where I feel like the community members, but it's patients. But yeah, so I'm curious then, you were a reflexologist before you became a naturopath, or did that happen after you got your naturopathic training?
I was trained in reflexology before naturopath, but I wasn't doing it as a practice. So when I became a naturopath, then I integrated the reflexology into my naturopathic practice. But I knew reflexology before naturopath. And so it fell together in terms of that because, as I stated earlier, I was always interested in the cultural connections that relate to health and wellness. All of us have a cultural healing connection, and I grew up on home remedies, and that's a part of culture. If you go back and talk to some of the elders in your family and listen to what they did for healing and wellness, that lays the foundation for your cultural connection. And so reflexology was really just an extension of my cultural connection to healing. And so then, from a scientific perspective, from naturopath, I was able to combine the two and put that together as a practice, which allowed me to focus on relieving pain using the power of touch.
I'm a massage therapist and we were trained in reflexology, but there's a difference between becoming a trained reflexologist and a massage therapist learning that as an additional modality. So I want to make that clear for listeners that there is a difference between a specific schooling for reflexology and specific school for massage. Even if you've had reflexology before, you may not have had it from a reflexologist. So there's that's like the specialty, the expertise. And I still feel like for those out there who are listening who are either had the service like that before, or if you're a massage therapist that offers a service like that, there is an association with it being a spa modality or something that you experience for pampering. And I know it to be much more than that. So, how do you educate those that come to see you about reflexology being a pain relieving tool versus something that's just pampering technique?
I've had the opportunity to teach reflexology in massage school, so I understand the gambit. But what I want to share first is think of family. When I say think of family, reflexology and massage, we're kin to each other, we're cousins. And the thing is, we're not the same. When you think of your cousins inside your family, all of you all are different, but you're in that same family. That's your connection. And that's the same approach with reflexology. And the way I distinguish the difference is understanding the modality in terms of what it does. In reflexology, we focus specifically on the nervous system and the connection between the nerve ending points and its connection to the brain in relationship to communication. Whereas in massage, you're looking at the muscular system. So that's how we differentiate the difference between the two, but they go hand in hand. That's the other piece. And to give an example of that, say for example, you're in pain. And what happens is when you're in pain, if I make my fist here, and this right here is the area that's experiencing pain, and all of a sudden, this is the muscle, it's tight and it's pressing on the nerve ending. So you're feeling the experience of pain. With massage, you're working to relax that muscle so that it can take some of the pressure off of the nerve, the muscle resting on the nerve ending. Once we relax the muscle and cause it to raise up, now we can take the nerve endings using our thumbs with the reflexology, reflexing that nerve ending to improve the circulation and get the circulation flowing. So that's how you have a combination of the two working together in terms of relieving pain. But each has its specific purpose as it relates to the body system, working collectively and cooperatively together.
I love that explanation. And I think that if some people have had a reflexology session, I'm curious if when people ask you, do they often say, "Oh, I've experienced that someone worked on my feet." And is there a disconnect between understanding that it could be face and hands and other parts of the body, ears too? And that's something you educate people? I'd love to hear what people are saying when they come to you and say, oh, yeah, I've had that before.
Which is interesting because most people usually only associate reflexology with the feet. But
That's what I thought.
reflexology is the art and science of working specific reflex points on the hands, feet, and ears that correspond with the various systems and organs in the body. And the way I help people understand the difference, look at a chart of the nervous system, and you'll see how all the nerve endings begin in your head and run straight through your body from the top of your head all the way through your fingers to the tip of your toes. Now, those nerve endings have specific locations on the hands and feet. And so when we're doing reflexology, what we're doing is we're stimulating that nerve ending to be able to give communication via the brain to that organ or system that's in need of relief from stress, pain. Reflexology focuses on not only just relaxation, it improves circulation, it relieves toxins and impurities in the body. It also is formation of being able to bring balance to the body when needed. So it's basically what the brain sends as its communication requests via the nerve endings using reflexology is how the relief is automatically happens. So that's it. It's about the communication center, the power of the nerve endings communicating via the nerve endings from the brain to the various organs and systems found on the hands, feet, and ears.
That's a great illustration of how I was thinking and visualizing how the nervous system runs through, down through the feet, down through the hands, through the ears. Is there an illustration, like maybe common, that you could share with the audience, a particular point on either the ears, hand, or feet that correlates to an organ that they could be like, oh, okay. Anything that's a good example that you often teach your students when they're just learning about it?
Before I answer that question, that's a good one. I want to share this point so that people will have an understanding. When I show you the point, you'll have a better understanding of how it works. Say, for example, when we have what we call the little funny bone here in our elbow, and you hit that funny bone, what's the first thing that you're usually going to do? If you think of what would be the first thing you'll do?
Usually you guard it and put your hand on it.
No, there's something else you're going to do right before that.
Flinch,
It's
maybe?
called it's called verbal release. You're going to say
Oh,
ouch. It's either going to be something nice or something not so nice. But first is going to be you got the impact, verbal release. When the verbal release happens, message goes to the brain. Trauma, stress in the area, it's like an alarm
yeah.
goes off. Then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to start rubbing it to start bringing some kind of soothing relief. Message then goes to the brain, send the body's natural pain relievers to the area. So when you start doing that rubbing, now you're releasing the body's endorphins, which are natural pain relievers, to that area. And all of a sudden, you start feeling a sense of relief and comfort. That's what a reflexology session consists of. That's the function of how reflexology works. Now, to make it a little more clearer, say, for example, in your house, the electricity goes out. And with modern technology, we have what's called a circuit breaker. So you'll go flip the switch, and all of a sudden, the electricity will come back on. If you do that and the electricity doesn't come on, you have to call an electrician to come in. And the electrician is going to say, okay, we got some faulty wiring or something, and we're going to have to reconnect and all of that. See that same process with a reflexologist. That's what we do. We reconnect the nerve endings. Wherever there's a disconnect, that's what we do. So we're like the nerve ending electricians of the body. That's what reflexology consists of. Now, you asked about a point. When I'm sharing reflexology with my clients and with those who just want to know some basic techniques on your hands, the best way for me to help you understand all of the nerve endings to your head are in your fingers and in your toes. We have what we call a system of mapping the body, and that's what we call our GPS in terms of how to find the particular nerve ending where it's located on the hands to that particular organ or body system. So I'm going to give the example of the hands. So you see your fingers, all of your nerve endings to your head are in each of your fingers. Where your fingers are connected to your hand, this right here, from here all the way across, is your neck. So we're going to visually go down the body. This is your head, your fingers on the head. Here's your neck, and it runs across here. Now that you've covered the head area, now we're going to look at when I turn my hand in this direction, this area right here is your shoulder, because right here is where you're going to find your spine. This is the nerve ending to the spine. It runs down the thumb. And you see, it's the same thing on the big toe. You'll see how you have that curvature just like your spine. This is the nerve ending to the spine. And this is the nerve ending to the shoulder. Now, the shoulder, just like how your body is shoulder, from point one, your index finger, all the way to the tip of your ring finger, that will be the nerve ending to your arms all the way to your hands. So if you move back slightly from the ring finger going all the way down to the baby finger, that's the nerve ending from the hip to your leg to your feet going all the way down. So that right there deals with that part of the body. Now, when we start talking about the internal, this is the internal organ. So when you see the hard area here, this is where you're going to find your chest, your lungs. That's in here in the ball area of your hand. Here in this little soft area, here's where you will find all of your abdominals, the stomach, the liver, the pancreas, the spleen, the kidneys, they're all in here. When you move down in this area here, now you're moving toward the eliminating organs for your intestines, your colon, and all of that area will be found within in this area in here. So this gives you like a kind of a brief overview of the body from head to toe. And this right here is known as the front side of the body, and the back of your hand is known as the back side. So that's like what I always tell folks is just visualize, put your whole body inside the palm of your hand, starting from your fingers all the way, going all the way down to the wrist area. And that's your body from head to toe in relationship to reflexology.
I think that's a perfect illustration. Now, I am not a trained reflexologist, but I did training for massage for doing foot reflexology or stimulating the points. And I found it really interesting. Obviously, I don't know the hand points. So I'm sitting here going, oh, my hip is definitely sore. And I'm feeling the points in my hand that are sore. And I know the points on my body are correlating to that. Same thing with my neck. So I'm like sitting here like stimulating them. So I'm curious, like from your experience, because when I got into doing that work for people, adding that into sessions, it was so cool to me to be like, wow, they're sharing that they have a particular issue chronically in their organs or in symptoms that show up. And I'm like, these are points that I'm feeling in these areas of the foot that are either like crunchy or sore, or there's puffiness, there's inflammation, there's like palpation to, and there's descriptive like ways that the tissue feels. So I'd love to hear from your perspective as a reflexologist how that is for your work and how that supports awareness for even your clients. Might be what might be going on that they don't even know.
That's a two-folded question, because one of the things as a practitioner, we always want to be able to find whatever the health issue is and say, oh, I found it. You're having problems here or problems there. That's not always the case. That's why we have to do what's called qualification. And when I say qualification, say for example, if I'm working a particular area on the hands or on the feet, and what we look for is what we call them crystals. And they're like about the size of a pinhead. And what they're doing is they're blocking circulation flowing. And that's what we're actually doing. We're looking for that to be able to relieve whatever congestion or constriction that may be happening in the nerve ending so that whatever is the blockage can automatically move through the normal channels of elimination and relieve the system. And if I find an area that's stressed, I'm going to qualify it, and it can be one of three things really. First, it could be an old injury. It will show up in that nerve ending. Second, it could be a soreness in that area on the hands or foot, which could cause where you may feel a particular stress area. And the third reason, it could possibly be connected to the nerve ending directly in the hands or feet. But you have to qualify before you say, oh, I'm working the hard area and I found this little crystal area here. And you're saying, oh, I'm feeling sore here. Do I have heart problems? No, not necessarily. And so that's why it's very important. And I'm really big, and this comes from my social work experience. I know that massage therapists are really good at that, but a lot of us practitioners are not good at documentation. And as a social worker, that's the number one thing you do is document everything. And even in working with your clients, it's important. And the reason why documentation is important, because now you can put together a plan of action based on, oh, at this session, this is what I discovered. The next session, okay, no, that's not showing up here. So now you're able to help your client understand what's going on as you're doing a reflexology session related to whatever they have said they are experiencing health wise.
I think that's really important because obviously you can't diagnose and scope of practice, especially as a massage therapist, not a doctor. But it was so interesting when I was doing work on people where I would feel these things that they said in their intake that they have health issues with.
Yeah.
And that's what I found really interesting. But at the same time, it's really cool that you can then, you're saying with your work, tracking over time and then really working to try to alleviate what you're seeing as a pattern that keeps showing up. And then I'm curious as we get in here further, the integration of other things into this model. So, yeah, let's talk about that. Your philosophy is pain relief first before treatment. How do you help people then? Let's just talk about pain because that they might having other symptoms, might feel pain in these spots or anything when it comes to your model. How do you help them understand pain as a messenger? Because that's something that's important in your work.
One of the things that's very important, and that's another excellent question you asked, because it's complicated. You don't have pain without stress, and you don't have stress without pain. The two go hand in hand. And a lot of times, because we don't connect the two, we don't associate that with what's going on with us health wise. I say that to say the reason why I focus on relieving pain first before treatment is because think about this. When you go to the store to purchase something, if you know exactly what it is you want, you know where you're going in the store to get what it is you want, you pay for it, and you bring it home. When someone makes an appointment to see a healthcare practitioner, they're only going there for one reason and one reason only. They're in pain. And all they want is pain relief. But when you go to a doctor from the conventional standpoint, the first thing the doctor's going to say, you're going to tell them, I got pain in my back and it's excruciating and I want some relief. And what happens is the doctor's going to say, we're going to have to do some tests to find out what's causing the pain. Okay? You're dealing with the test. But in the meantime, until we get the results back from the test, Here's some medication to take for the pain. Now, here's where the problem comes in. The doctor doesn't know what's causing the pain, dealing with pain from a natural approach. Where you're feeling the pain is not the problem, it's just the outlet. And because if I'm going to get tests to find out what's causing the pain, I'm dealing with the outlet and not the cause of the pain. And the way you find the cause of the pain is through what's known as the first form of healing begins with touch. And the first form of touch is called listening. So when my clients come into me and they're talking about pain, all I'm doing is listening to them tell me about everything that's connected to the reason they feel they're in pain. What I'm allowing them to do is open up and start sharing. Because what I'm listening for is what is that stress factor that's the contributor to the pain. And once I find out what the stress factor is, now I bring you back to let's connect the mind, the body, and the spirit together in the healing process to relieve the pain and stress because you can't relieve pain and stress without the mind body connection. And so by listening for me to hear what the stress factor is, now my client is open and receptive to receiving reflexology, which is the hands on therapy that relieves the pain. I was listening for what is the stress factor. I'm using the reflexology to give you what you came for, pain relief. When I listen for the stress factor, did I hear that your back is hurting because the muscles are tight in the back? So now we look at the integrative approach. Do I need to connect you with a massage therapist? Because now we got to look at the muscular system. Or is there a problem in the spine in terms of the structure? Do we now need to look at chiropractic care? Or are you so tight in your respiratory system that you need some deep breathing? Do we now have to do a breathing process? So all of that comes through you just talking to me. So now I know how to do the integrative approach with the therapist because I'm a firm believer there's no one therapy that does it all. They all have to be integratively connected together so that the healing process can happen. And when we do this, now the client is more inclined to want to do work with me in the healing process. Because what I want your listeners to understand is that it's not a one way street. We, as practitioners, all we do is assist the body in the healing process. You are your own healer. And when you understand that, we're giving you back your power to be a part of the healing process in terms of what you want for healing. So that's what my whole concept is when I say relieving pain first before treatment.
I feel like I'm a bobblehead doll over here because I'm just shaking my head like, yes, everything you're saying. Yeah, like that integrative model. It's so interesting. I'm curious, like how far things have come from when you started this work to now. Like it is still education because like this awareness of the integrative model is something that like it just makes sense when you understand it, but not everyone understands it. And I love how you explained it eloquently. And earlier, I love it because you said about the reflexologists working on the nervous system, they're like the electricians of the body. I've said this before that chiropractic works on the structure, massage works on the muscles, and acupuncture, reflexology, and even Reiki and energy modalities work with the electrical system. And I just think that's a great metaphor for this work. So, yeah, tell me about the transition. How has the public been more receptive to this type of work? You feel like more people are interested in it as the integrative model makes its debut in the mainstream?
Oh, wow. You ask another very powerful question. It's all about timing. I would say earlier, you probably had a lot more interest than you do now.
Really?
And the reason why I say that, it's not because the interest is not there now. We are so ingrained in the quick fix mentality. And because we're so caught up in the quick fix, we are forgetting that the pain that you are experiencing is something that did not happen overnight. It was a process until it became so excruciating and unbearable for you. Now I need the relief. I want instant relief from it. But just like it was a process, there's also a process to you getting the desired relief you want. That's what we're dealing with right now. I'm more fascinated with Generation Z. They inspire me because they are a lot more open and receptive. And I'm enjoying that because they are the future leaders, teachers, and healers. And because of that, it shines a ray of light in terms of looking at integrative approaches to healthcare, and they'll be the ones that will be leading it forward. For me, what I'm excited about is being able to pass the information on to them and be supportive of them taking it to the next level in terms of where they see it. I just want to sit back and relax and enjoy the fruits of the new generation taking healing to a whole nother level. That's how I see it from a future perspective. But in the standpoint, I think more so now we may be forced because the emphasis now is going to be more on self healing. You're going to have to start taking back control of your healing. And I'm going to use this example to help listeners understand. You're going to have to stop treating your body like it's an automobile. And I say this because I always tell my clients, when you buy your automobile and they tell you to do this, and you religiously do this for the automobile. And so if all of a sudden the engine light comes on or you hear some clanking or something, you go to the mechanic and say, I'm hearing this, I'm seeing this. The mechanic is mechanically inclined to understand what it is you're talking about as it relates to the car. You can't take your body to the doctor and expect your doctor to be inclined to understand what you're talking about when you're saying, I'm aching here or I'm experiencing this here and there. You are going to have to go in there with the mindset of asking questions. You're going to have to ask questions. Don't give away your power. Remember, I said we only assist you in the healing process. And if the doctor says it's this or this, ask, what does that mean? Why is that happening? What should I be doing? And that way, now you are forcing your healthcare practitioner to do what? Use the first form of healing, which is called touch. And that touch is known as listening. Take back control. That way, now we could start working together to put a wellness, and I say preventive wellness approach to health and wellness. It's your body. It's not the doctor's, it's yours. And only you know your body. And when you take charge, now the body will work with you to heal. And it may even do it in a quick fix manner if you respect it. That's the key.
That's so crazy that you feel the same way about Generation Z. Because I was thinking about that too. My son is in that generation and just like watching the contrast. There's a part of the Generation Z that I've noticed that are like pulling away from like the way that things are being done because they're like, we don't like this. This isn't serving us. It's not nurturing. It's not compassionate. It's not connective. Everyone, our parents, the world is so disconnected, and there's even like a whole movement of Generation Zs that just want to move out into the woods and be in nature and be in a more natural form of way of doing things. So most likely outcome, you said, in the future of this integrative model. And especially if they're like, this isn't right. I want to go into the system and change the system from the inside. These generations become doctors. So where do you see the connecting point where conventional medicine, reflexology, touch therapy, and just the integrative model, where do you see that they will meet well in the future? And where do you think they'll maybe continue to diverge?
Let me see how I'm going to answer this one. If Generation Z stands firm on what they are believing now and moving forward, I see a whole discombobulation of conventional medicine. It's the way we see it, it's not going to just because the bottom line is you're talking about going up against big pharma. And when you talk about big pharma, it's about controlling through substances. And to question is something that the future generation is going to always be asking questions. And this is what I tell your listeners: go back to remembering your children and remember the 3-letter word that's a part of their vocabulary before they start holding conversations with you. And that 3-letter word is called why. And you need to be about doing the same thing with everything. Why? Because when you ask the question why, you got to get an answer. They can't just brush it off. I want to know, why is this happening? Why do I have to do this? Give me something to work with. That's the concept. And that's what Generation Z stands for, the why of everything. It doesn't make sense. So explain to me why. So now I can understand it. And if I understand it, maybe I'm willing to accept it. But until I get an answer to the why, I can't accept it. So when I see integrative, I see a lot more of people looking at alternatives. If it means going back to nature, if it means let me go try grandma's old remedies again to see how to bring that back into fruition again. These are the kind of things that I see as futuristic in terms of relating to what's going to happen for health and wellness, because it's going to be about us deciding what we want and how we want it.
It's really cool to be in this line of work and just so much ancient wisdom, cultural wisdom, ancestral wisdom, and then more things we can learn now, even with just understanding the nervous system and brain regulation states. I'm sure even just that people are more interested in vagus nerve stimulation and how that
Yes,
relates to the ear
yes.
reflexology. That's so cool. So there is like that, the biohackers and people that want to like, how do I increase my productivity and success by regulating my nervous system and stress? Like, even though there's the cultural drive to become better and to achieve
Mm-hmm.
this whole thing, we have this virus of achievement, never ending achievement that we have, but it's still, I think it's still a draw back to finding that wellness.
That is so true. That is one of the things that is so very true as we look at the whole focal point of health and wellness, because it's very important that what worked yesterday is still good today. All you do is just what modernize, because there's nothing new under the sun. You're just recreating it for the time that we're in now. And I'm hoping that this will allow young people, this is the generation that's under Generation Z, allow them to once again become creative thinkers, to allow them to be able to come up with ways that will allow them to be contributors with their energy. See, this is what is going to have to happen. And the sad reality, which is real sad when I look at it from the standpoint from Western culture, we're an old culture going up against some youthful cultures that are coming on the scene now. And they are coming with ideas that may look rebelistic, but really it's about this is where I'm at creative wise. And so I think that's what you're seeing as it relates to overall wellness. It's about redefining what it means to be well. And when you redefine wellness from that perspective, it means, as I call it, some of my old school colleagues and clients and all, it's time for us to pass the baton. I'm serious about that. It's time to pass the baton. We've had our day. What we can do is to be about being encouraging. We know the game plan, we know what works. If a young person is coming up with an idea, we know how to encourage them to move it forward. All we have to do is just be encouraging, not say, this is what we did yesterday and you all aren't doing. Nobody want to hear that. You didn't even want to hear it when you were a child. So why do you think this generation wants to hear the same thing? It's that whole scenario that we have to understand and be willing to let go. Yesterday is gone. Let's get ready for tomorrow. AI is telling you it's going to happen.
That is true wisdom from a true elder. You are the embodiment of that we don't have that wisdom itself of knowing you have lots to share, you have lots of experience. But I think that our culture doesn't really have, we've lost a lot of respect for elders and for people who have the wisdom to understand how we pass the baton on so that they will grow into the elders someday. And that being a cycle that continues. But I don't think we have a lot of experience in our culture of what that looks like. And it's true. It's very true.
But you know something? It's not your fault. It's us. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
My folks don't like to hear that, but it's us. We the problem. And because the fact of the matter is, let go. It's time for us to be about relaxing and enjoying life, not trying to hold on to what was yesterday. It was yesterday. It's not today. It won't work today. If you look at what's going on right now, what's before your eyes, it's everybody trying to hold on to yesterday. Let it go. Yeah. For me right now, I think it's very important. That's why I love being around children and young people because I want y'all to rub off on me. I like getting silly with you because, see, what my generation is failing to understand and the generation that's directly behind me needs to understand this. If you don't let go and you get into my position right now, who's going to be taking care of you? If you don't look at this generation and try to help them out so that they'll look kindly on you when you get into the position that you're going to need to be taken care of, you need to start thinking about that because if you aren't, you're going to be up the creek. And that's going to be a real serious situation. And you got countries right now are seeing that begin to happen because of the fact they want to hold on and not let go.
Holding on, I think, is not just life stuff, cultural, but it's emotional and spiritual pain that people have experienced. Many people, they're not carrying just physical pain, but there's a connection point between the emotional pain, spiritual pain, and this holding on thing is a lot of times not just holding on in the body, holding on in the psyche, but holding on in general can be from the experiences they've had. So how do you address those layers with your work? And how do you help clients connect that mind, body, spirit, help they understand that through the reflexology you do?
Another excellent question. You're on point, my dear lady. You're very on point today. That's called generational trauma. All of us got it. Nobody is spared of generational trauma. And when I say generational trauma, I'm talking about the experiences that have been passed on from generations that's in our DNA. It's connected with us. And so what we're talking about now is mindset. We're going to have to start looking at how we think about things and why we think the way we do. And when we start looking at that in a whole nother perspective, because let me share this little tidbit with you. There is a pain that big pharma cannot treat, healthcare practitioners cannot treat. There's a big pain, and this pain is the contributor of all health problems. And you know what that pain is? It's called financial pain. Everybody goes to work. We're just coming through this shutdown. And what was the number one problem with that shutdown? It didn't have anything to do with I'm not getting a paycheck. I got some health issues. And I go to this job every day to be able to afford the health care for my health issues. Now, I'm tying this in to say financial pain is a result of generational mindset. Because that generational mindset is the contributor to all of our health issues. That's the trauma that all of us, nobody is spared, all of us are dealing with. We got to talk about relieving pain first before treatment begins with the power of touch. Now, the trauma that we went through, what is it, about 5 years ago now, known as the pandemic. And when we went through that pandemic, the number one pain reliever everyone was deprived of during the pandemic, my unscientific research, is the power of touch. And what happened with the power of touch? I could not see my family. That's touch. I could not touch my family. That's touch. Those forms of touch we were deprived of. And then we come out of the pandemic and we're still in that same lack of touch. All of us around here now are starving for touch in some form of fashion. That ticked off that generational trigger because it goes back to stuff related to touch in our upbringing, generation wise. This is what we're dealing with now. And until we are able to reconnect with touch, and when I say touch, I'm not talking about just physical. Touch is emotional. Touch is mental. Touch is spiritual. And touch is financial. All these forms of touch help to heal us. And let me give you an example. Say, for example, someone is having a real bad day and they just are so overwhelmed. And all you do is look at them and just say, you know what? Everything's going to be all right. That's a form of touch. Another form of touch, from a physical perspective, they're just so uptight and you just put your hand on their shoulder. And all of a sudden, all the stress is just released from their body. That's a form of touch. Another form of touch deals with all of a sudden you heard some motivational, inspirational thought or something. You just share that with someone and that just lifts them to their highest heights. That's a form of touch. And my favorite one is for all of us who live in urban areas and you're in what's called rush hour traffic and you're trying to get over and everybody is getting close as they can. Nobody wants to let you over. And all of a sudden someone just holds back and you raise your hand up as a form of saying, thank you. And that just made their day. That's a form of touch. Somebody holds the door for you and you tell them, thank you. Those two words are the most powerful touch words you can deliver to someone in as a form of healing. Just the basics. That's what we got to start looking at. That's called mindset resetting of the mind using the power of touch so that we can move forward. Because right now, everybody is angry. Everybody's on anger. I'm sitting here seeing you walk down the streets and everybody got a tight lip. Nobody want to say nothing to nobody. Why? Just being able to speak to someone in the morning could be the very thing you need that takes you through the day.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
what we're dealing with right now.
I am just like a bobblehead over here. I'm just shaking my head. This is really like on point. You're so on point with this. And I think that sense of what's going on in the world, the feelings of anger or frustration or hopelessness, when someone is in deep pain, let's just talk about this, whether it's physical pain or emotional pain, right? Or spiritual pain. What offerings do you have, like from a reflexology perspective, like a micro practice or a tool or something you could offer our listeners that might be supportive for them in moving past those things?
One of the things that I say is you can just take the palm of your hand. Here's your thumb here. And what you want to do is you're going to do like a bending with your thumb, like moving your thumb up and down. Put the thumb on the palm of your hand whenever you start feeling uptight, stressed, or any kind of pain in the body. And just take your thumb and just get in the habit of just walking the palm of your hand. What you're doing is activating all of the nerve ending points inside your body to bring about relief and a calming. And when you do that, just take a deep breath and just get in the habit. Whenever you start feeling uptight, and on the back, take your fingers and do the same thing on the back of your hands while your thumb is walking the palm side and just relax. And that brings a sense of calmness to the body. Those are the kind of things that you can do, just little things like that. Look at tapping. Go on the line and start looking up tapping and just start tapping areas on to bring about relief. That's a form of energy relief. Little basic things that's about
Yes.
helping you. And another big one, give yourself a good bear hug. Hug yourself. You deserve it. That is healing. It's little small things like that is what can take a whole load off of you. And my favorite one is what I call have a silly day. Find a day. Sometimes if it means go out in the backyard and scream to the top of your lungs if you feel like it. Just do something that's silly so that you can have a good laugh, a good feel good. We are, as adults, we are in a box. We're so uptight that we forget to live. We've forgotten how to live. And that is something that has got us in this. That's why we're always so angry. No, it does not have to be that way. When you get to my point, you get to a stage in your life where I done paid my dues. I don't care. It don't matter no more. And that's how you got to start thinking. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
I'm going to live like I want to live. This is how I want to be today. This is it. And enjoy it. Have fun with it. That's why I say hang around children whose parents still allow them to be creative. Children, their creativity is being siphoned now, so they aren't allowed to be creative. But hang around children who still can go out in the dirt and find something that's real amusing to them and have such joy in it. You want to be around creative children. That will help you to bring out your creative energy.
I think that creative energy is the life force, it's the vitality, it's the joy, it's that essence of how your being expresses when it's not in pain. Because even someone who's in a lot of pain, when they express through laughter yoga or comedy therapy or whatever, it's just like the endorphins are there, it's great, but it's just your body relaxes, your being connects with other people, which is this power of touch, of connection that we really need. And yeah, I think I went through a big journey the last couple of years where I'm not at your stage where I'm like, I don't completely care. Nothing is all fine. But I've moved into this more state, like, there is so much, like, here, we don't have to hold on to this, like, and that is a gift. The freedom that
Yes,
you're expressing in your being, that you're just like, "I don't care anymore. I am here to experience it, I am here." That's that freedom that I think we all really want. And I think
yes,
until our lived experience takes us there, because sometimes we still hold on, even if we mentally say we want to let go, it's that whole process.
it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It is. And the thing is, just have fun. Just spend some time, even like you said, if you wake up in the morning, spend some time smiling at yourself. So if you smile at yourself, then you'll be able to smile at others, and others will smile back at you instead of, I got to be so tight lipped. I got to be so tight jawed. Now that's stressful. That's some heavy weight that you're carrying. If you're in that kind of situation, that's a lot of weight. And this is the other thing I want your listeners to understand. You have to give value to yourself. And the way you give value to yourself is with how you define your body. Is your body, and I tell this with my clients all the time, is your body a temple or is your body a warehouse? If your body is a warehouse, that means you just store everything in it. And if your body is a temple, it's something sacred that you cherish. When you cherish it, you take care of it. You value it. It becomes special to you. And that's how you learn how to let go and enjoy, when you know how to value who you are. Because all of us are valuable. We're all what? Diamonds in the rough. So now it's time to polish ourselves up. And only you can do that.
The experience of moving into this kind of healing for yourself, right? If someone's looking to get a session or understand reflexology, understand your work, but also, what if someone wants to train with you, like hanging out with you? So, like, how would you find someone that would be listening, maybe, that would resonate with becoming a reflexologist? Because I think that there is a call for more need. We need more people who are using the power of touch, because there was a technique in learning. But what type of personality that maybe is listening is someone that's a good candidate for becoming a touch healer? And this might be a massage therapist too, but from your perspective, reflexology, what intuitive or energetic awareness or things do they need to have or would resonate for them to come and work with you and train with you to become a reflexologist?
For me to answer that, when you were talking about the future, where things are going now and how we're moving, the way I will answer that question now is, I'm more inclined to work with people who are ready to take back control of their own healing. I like doing family therapy. I like training members inside families where you can have at least one family member who is your reflexologist. And I say that's why when I wrote the book, Reflexology Day, a Family Affair, it's because when we start looking at health and wellness now, when someone in the family becomes ill, it's not just that person who's experiencing the health problem. It's the whole family. And it's going to take the whole family to heal the one family member who's dealing with the problem so that the family together can heal and bring the wholeness. And the reason why I say that is because when I wrote the book back in about 1985. And at that time, I was studying reflexology. I was going to China to study reflexology. And when I got to China, I got a real rude awakening because the doctors in China spend anywhere between an hour to an hour and a half with their patient before they even talk about treatment. Then they bring all of the family members in to talk about how do we put together a treatment program for the whole family as a preventive approach for future occurrences of this health problem. So that's why it became a family affair. So I said, oh, wow. So I was on point when I wrote the book because that's how I saw reflexology. And I say that to say it's because reflexology, I always see as the bridge that connects all the other hands on therapies. Because once you relieve the pain, now we can do the integrative therapeutic approach for the whole issue related to health and wellness. And that's so the clients that I would prefer working with are those who are interested in healing as a family. And if from a standpoint of finding out if you have genetic family health problems, how can we work together as a family using reflexology to bring about a reversal using the power of touch and then integrating it with the therapy? Because, see, the other part of what I do is I design the integrative approaches to the modalities related to what's going on with you health wise. So that's the approach that I use that focuses on relieving pain first before treatment based on families or communities. And when I say family, it's not just biological because now we live in an age where we have what's called extended families. So, whatever is your family base, this is what we're talking about how we come together and put together a wellness approach using reflexology as your touch technique to move to the healing approach to wellness.
I'm so enamored by that. That makes so much more sense to me. I think I get a lot of our listeners, a lot of our clients to our clinic, they go into this holistic integrative model and they love it so much. And they're so eager for their family to also do the work that they're doing. And I love this answer because this isn't, oh, I'm going to become a professional licensed massage or reflexologist, but these are tools that are simple to learn. And if you're understanding, you can use them not only for yourself, but that your family's more likely to you want to sit and watch TV and I do this to your feet or hands. That is amazing. I love it. Can you tell us more about your program and more about the training and what the offerings you have look like?
I have what I called the changing lives with touchology. I have group sessions where we come together as a group. You can participate as a group, or you can participate as an individual for personal customized sessions based upon your family makeup and all that. Because what I do is I look at the whole family. In addition to my book, which is a self help guide to using reflexology. And with the book, I offer consultations, which means that when you purchase the book and you want to know how to use the book specifically in relation to a health issue, you get to have a session with me and we talk about what will be the best approaches in terms of reflexology. The main thing that I do enjoy doing a lot is I like being able to offer training sessions to groups and organizations as well in terms of utilizing reflexology as a stress management and pain relief approach. And so my website is focusonhealing.com, where you can find all the information about what I do and how to connect with me. I like consultations. So like I have free consultation sessions where you can call and get a session and we'll talk about like your particular pain problem or your particular issue or concern related to how to use touch in as a form of therapeutic approach to relieving pain and stress. So all of that is available on my website. In addition, Carl, let me share this with you. We talk about tradition and culture. When you come to someone's home in the African tradition, you always bring a gift. And I bring a gift for your listeners and viewers, which is I put together a poster of medication free approaches to relieving pain. And all you have to do is you go to touchology, reflexology.com. You can download it and you'll get a copy of the chart that you can use as finding particular techniques that can work for you because it's all about understanding the connection between the mind, the body, and the spirit in relieving pain and stress, because you can be pain and stress free using the power of touch.
Oh, girl, that is so amazing. I'm going to put that in the show notes so everyone easily clickable. I'm really curious and excited to look at that. That is amazing. So, thank you for being here. I have two final questions I always ask people when they come on the show for the first time. But is there anything else you want to share before I go into those final questions?
The only thing that I will share with your listeners is that if you don't do anything else, when you wake up first thing in the morning, wake up giving, and that will make your day. Gratitude. That is the power. And that is the most powerful touch tool you can give yourself to have a just rewarding day. Give thanks.
Final questions. First one, what is your personal favorite, like right now, like a self care, either a product or a modality or something that you're indulging in that you love, that's something that is your time?
I'm going to tell you a little trade secret. I'm not a real big fan of massage, but I love a good scalp massage. That sends me to heaven. I love that. That's my healing therapy, just to be able to have a good scalp massage. That's what I would say is my own personal healing technique that I love to the utmost.
Awesome. And if you could detox one thing in the world right now, what would it be?
To detox one thing.
Yes.
The one thing that I would like to detox is self hatred.
Yes.
I would love to detox self hatred. When we learn how to really love ourselves, that gives you the world. So if I had to detox something, it would definitely be self hatred.
Awesome. Yeah. And I think that I would say just being on this journey, when you really start to dive into wholeness and who you are and these mind, body, spirit, and physical pain things that are holding on to, like self hatred is the root for so much of it. We don't accept ourselves, we don't accept others. And detoxing that would be life changing. If every single person in the world did that, like everything would shift overnight
Definitely.
tremendously.
We'd
Yeah.
be happy children running around having fun.
Yeah, we would. Such a pleasure. It's such a pleasure connecting with you finally after all the things we had to reschedule you. But I'm so grateful to connect. And I know you're so close by. I look forward to meeting you in person. And again, if those
Definitely.
of you are listening, please reach out. We have all the show notes and information for connecting directly there for you guys to see. And other than that, thanks for being on the show. We
I
appreciate it.
thank you. It has been my pleasure and my honor.
Thank you. All right. Thanks again for listening, everyone. Thank you for listening to the Mind Body Detox podcast. If you love this podcast, share it with others and leave us a review. Your reviews help us more than you know and supports us continuing to make episodes and being heard from all over the world. You can also follow the link in our show notes to submit a topic that you would like to hear on the show.